How did you find the real estate market in Dubai for investing? The best piece of advice I can give you, probably my main takeaway, actually my two main takeaways. Very bullish on Dubai, extremely bullish. Because not only is it a melting pot, but it seems right now like it's the only place in the world that is actually attracting and not trying to repel entrepreneurs and investors. Now, you could say, well, George, most of them are coming to the States. Okay, yeah, but the States trying to repel them. The States is trying to demonize them. Dubai is doing the opposite of that. And you just see a lot of energy there. You can feel it. I think it's very similar to, not exactly, but similar to the United States back in, let's say, the 1800s, when there was no safety net, but everyone knew that that's where they could come, have very low taxes, relatively free market. And obviously, Dubai isn't perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Another thing that I like, believe it or not, I mean, it sounds weird saying this, but in today's day and age, the world is so volatile and it's so tumultuous that I'm actually a little leery of democracy. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying it just there's such a push towards people wanting stuff for free and people being tribal to the point of insanity. And I think when people go off the deep end in that environment, democracy doesn't work perfectly. My good buddy Doug Casey said, or has said many times, it's like mob rule dressed up in a suit and tie. I'm not saying that that's not the best system, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying it's got its flaws. And in times, at the end of a fourth turning, when you just see this massive tribalism, we've done away with religion and we've replaced it with politics. And they're not listening to reason. I mean, if you thought people were listening to reason, just let's remember 2020. Enough said, right? So we're in that environment that's just it's a dumpster fire, really. And people feel like they've lost hope. And people have this victim mentality in the West. And when they have that, and you got democracy, boy, that's, in my opinion, it's going to be rough. So look at Dubai. They got a king, and that dude, he's there. Now, that can go horribly, horribly wrong, as you all know. But it can also lead to stability. So assuming, and this is a big assumption, that the current king continues what his grandfather started and what his father started, and then continues with that tradition of kind of this philosophy that Dubai has had, then I think it could be kind of a beacon of stability, although far, far, far from perfect, in a world that's completely unstable and getting more and more unstable by the day. Lastly, if you want to entertain buying an apartment there or buying a property, you've got to figure out how to buy something that they can't build more of. See, one thing they've got going for them is they have limitless land. They're not going to run out of sand or areas to build in Dubai. I mean, I guess to a certain degree they could hit their borders, but they got a long way to go. So it's very hard for real estate to appreciate in value above and beyond the rate of inflation when there's no restriction on supply. Because if there's just more demand, builders can build that. They got a bit of a margin, and then they're going to continue to build housing stock. Very similar to what we've seen in Houston back when we had a more of a free market compared to what you would see in a San Francisco. So a lot of people think that, oh my gosh, San Francisco, all the prices are high because the incomes are high. Not really. I mean, if you go back, especially prior to 2007, the incomes were actually very similar, Houston, San Francisco. But yet Houston, the property values were a fraction. Why? Because there wasn't anything really artificially limiting supply there. And so Dubai is like Houston, nothing limiting supply. So what you have to do if you want to buy a property, you have to buy a property that they can't recreate. As an example, they've got the marina there, which is just a fantastic area. I'm not saying that they can't put in another marina. Maybe they can. But assuming they can't put in this type of marina for whatever reason, that would be where I would look. Because regardless of how much they build out and up, they're still not going to be able to build another marina. Now, I'm not saying they can't. I'm just using that as an example, assuming that they couldn't. So you've got to have that boots on the ground knowledge and understanding, okay, which properties are not only unique, but which properties has something attached to them, has some sort of benefit, has some sort of unique characteristic that can't be replicated. Then I would consider it. But if you're just going in there and buying some random apartment just because you think you got a good deal on it, I wouldn't. That wouldn't interest me at all.